Good morning, everyone. This is Fran Lewis. This is MJ Network, and I am so excited. Marilyn Levinson is here, and look who's here with me, Death and Dickens Island. And I have to tell you, there are hands out for the book when I'm done. There are a lot of people that want to read it, and they're not getting it. Told them to go numb. So this is a brand new series, and I really like Delia a lot. She's come home to Dickens Island, a small island in the Long Island Sound after 12 years stint in Manhattan. And she's looking forward to helping her father with the general store, but not everything goes the way, and she wants to be reunited with her son. And I like Aunt Renee and Uncle Brad. I really like them a lot, but there's a murder, but we won't say who did it, and we won't tell you who's it about. So, how did you decide to create Dickens Island? Is it named based on something?
It was based on a place where I went far from there. I On a trip I had gone to the San Luis Islands. They're part of the state of Washington, and I loved being at Friday Harbor, which is the main town. It's funny, a lot of people wrote island series because of that place. It's just a very warm, wonderful place. So I decided I couldn't set anything near the state of Washington. It's a whole different mindset from New York. So I decided to create my own island, and I put it smack in the middle of Long Island Sound, between Long Island, where I live, and Connecticut.
All I know is that growing up in the South Bronx, we didn't have many stores like that. But when I went to the country, in the bungalow colony, they did have a general store,
And it
which is
sells everything,
more
right?
fun than the supermarket. Let me tell you, you could get more stuff. So she went to the general store, and who are her parents? And Aunt Renee and her uncle. I love them. This Uncle Brad. They're so cool.
Yeah, well, okay. Her parents are Jillian and Graham.
Yeah.
The island, Graham, they're all Dickens. The Dickens family, um, an ancestor of the Dickens, a great great, had bought the island, and that's why the island's named after them, Dickens. They're not related to Charles Dickens, unless this happens to turn up sometime in another book. But at this point, nobody knows if there's any connection, if there's any connection. Her father is the older brother, Graham, and he sort of sees himself as the patriarch, and he feels
Mhm.
responsible for the island. He and his family, Delia and her brother Wayne, and Delia's parents, they own the general store. The general
Mm.
store is not doing well, and that's because Graham is very reluctant to update anything. He keeps things pretty much the way they are, and it's practically it's not really in the red. So when
Mm.
Delia comes, she said he asks her to update the store, but at the same time, he keeps putting blocks in stopping her
Yeah.
doing making any improvement because he likes to keep things the way they were. Brad is his brother, and he's a lawyer, and he's the head of the council, the town council. And Renee, his wife, is Lillian's sister. So they're aunt and uncle twice over to her, and they're doing the same exact thing. Um, Rini is she's the well, it's equivalency. It's called the manager, but it's really the mayor.
Yeah.
It's a very small community, and he's the head of the council. I mean, they have other jobs. She's a realtor and he's a lawyer, but it's the same thing is happening here. Rini wants to have some more growth, wants to encourage people to build here, to visit, and Brad is doing the same thing. No, no, let's keep it the way it was. And both wives are pretty annoyed about this attitude.
This is really cool, though. So we have the host of Van Patten Farm, but what is this is really cool. The controversy over the land and everything. What's the controversy over the town that they have to overcome? And we'll get to the next person next. Missy, whoa.
Well, okay, the farm is being
Yeah,
sold by the owners. They're older.
yeah.
They want to go to Florida. And we have the problem, the same problem. Um, this really sees this as a wonderful opportunity to change, take the farmland and build more housing. Housing has been built here in many, many years. And no, Brad like wants to keep. Well, let's make this a farm like it used to be. Let's can make it show how farming was in the 19th century, and it never was a farming community to begin with.
Mm.
And also, she wants to have a ferry. You see, there is a ferry connecting Long Island to the island, but there's no ferry connecting the island to Connecticut, and everyone wants one. And Brad has been very difficult, and he won't go with it. Now, Missy Faraday came into the council because her father died, and there was no one to take his place. So she said she would do it until they voted on it in a few months. And she is a kind of clingy woman. She's like in
Mm.
her mid 40s, and she plays up to people. And after every meeting, oh, Brad, that could you please explain this to me?
Mhm.
And Renee, who's a no nonsense
Uh-huh.
person, guess what Renee suspects? She thinks that they're having an affair. So what happens is, because she's so annoyed with him that he's stopping every plan that she suggests about improving the island and moving forward, and also thinking that he's having an affair with this Missy. She throws him out of the house, and he goes and he's staying at um at Graham, Delia's father's house.
Well, Missy's a real slime ball. Hmm. She wants to get what she wants, and she doesn't care how she has to get it. Well, you'll see. I'm not going to say what happens. Aunt Reedy, what happened with Aunt Reedy and him? And tell us about what we know about the farm and the problem. So, what happens with Delia when something happens to somebody? Because there's a murder. That's the good part. This gets really good now.
Yeah, well, that the problem is that Missy
Yeah,
gets murdered.
yeah,
She tells Brad that somebody tried to run her down. So
yeah.
instead of calling the police, she calls Brad. And Brad, he's really a soft-hearted person. Well, remember, he's staying at Graham's house, his brother's house, and he says, and Graham likes to cook, and he's invited Delia and her son to come over for dinner,
Mm.
and Brad, without asking anything of his brother, come to dinner at my brother's house. And so Brad, as far as we know, is the last person who sees uh, um, Missy alive.
Well, I am very happy to say that we are live on YouTube. We just got the email, which means that at the end I get to send you the tape so you can watch it or whatever. If I put it on LinkedIn, you're going to get a couple hundred views, maybe more. So we'll see. Okay, so Julia gets involved. Now she has it. What's wrong with the general store that she feels they need upgrades because they're not selling enough, and that's their mainstay also for Delia for her father. And there's a
Yeah.
discrepancy there how they want it done. Double
Well,
liquid.
that you see, I have to also add that Delia's mother
Yeah,
staying in Manhattan, in Delia, where Delia has an apartment in Manhattan. That's where she had been living the past 12 years,
yeah.
while her parents were raising her son Connor. And when Connor's now 15 years old, and Jillian, who is Delia's mother, she's gotten tired of trying to get Graham to upgrade the store. He Every time she tries to bring in new merchandise, he tells her no, it's too early. If she wants to take a break and go on a trip, no. So she decides that she will take some me time and spend it in the city. And so Delia, he tells Delia, it's time you came back to the island and you took
Yeah.
care of your son. And Delia offers to upgrade the store, and she's coming upon the same resistance. But Delia says, "Well, then I'm not going to do it." And so her father lets her do it. And one of the things she starts is a book nook.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part.
Yeah. So um, she had this idea. Well, I also have to add that she has there's a whole area. Elia has inherited her grandmother's Victorian home. She's died. Helena has died. Helena was really quite something. She is Graham and Brad's mother, and she was widowed quite early, and she's a major woman. She taught in the elementary school. She ran the store, and she was the first woman manager of the town. And she kept telling uh, Delia and her brother too, "You're going to be living here again." And Delia says, "No, I'm not." She said, "Yes, you will." And she starts telling her about the infrastructure of the island, which Delia has no interest in. Well, um, Helena kind of discovers a secret room in the house. And Delia, when she's alone, encounters her her grandmother's ghost, and her grandmother's ghost tells her a lot. But and she's looking for books. The secret room is lined with books. So Delia decides that it would really be nice to have something, a little area in the store where people could sit and
Yeah.
there's couches there already because they used to have a woman. People could wait while there was some clothes. The clothes could be changed, altered. Seams made, seams lengthened, like the legs of pants like shortened. I mean, they don't have this anymore in the store. But Delia thought that would be the perfect place. She could bring in a few more chairs, and they could have one of those libraries where you take one, you bring one. And she decides she's going to have book club meetings, but a different kind of book club, which in the second book, there's more of that. So she sets up the book nook, and guess what her father says? "Oh no." She said, "Well, you said I could do it." And he tells her, "Well, I meant sometime in the future." And she said, "Well, then I'm not going to do this anymore." And so he backs down and lets her have the book nook.
I wish that all bookstores had that. I basically, well, because of what I do, I don't have to buy any books ever.
That's right.
And if the post office would be so nice to deliver them, that would even help me. I don't know what's happening with UPS and the post office. They seem to be a little bit slow, but yeah, it would be really cute because when you go into a bookstore, I mean, you see people sitting by themselves, but you don't see people sharing. And I don't even know if they have the things for kids anymore, the book signings and the kids coming in to listen to stories or anything. I
I
did
think
that
they,
once.
I
It's
think
a lot of
yeah,
fun.
yeah, I think they have them in libraries. That's where they have them.
Library, yeah. My library is very austere. What can I say? So now let's get to the good part, the murder. Hmm. Who is Greg and how does it create fiction? How does he become a lord? Tell us more about the Van Pattens and who's alive. That's even cooler.
Well, that is rather complicated, and
Yeah.
the Van Pattens own the farm. It's a family farm, and I don't want to go into it too much because um, there ends up it turns out that there are two murders, and that they are connected.
Mm.
And it's Delia who discovers the connection. And how she does this is that she learns a lot from her grandmother because Helena was a very important person when she was alive, and she knew everything that was going on the island. And and also Helena has many secrets, but Helena has also written journals. So Delia learns a lot about the what happened with the Van Patten family, and I don't want to go into it because it's a lot of it has to do with the mystery. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful with them. So now this gets more difficult because they, in order to get anything done, they have to have council meetings. And how does that work? And then we're going to
Yeah.
get to Connor, my
Oh,
favorite. I like this kid, but you know, I listen to the news every day, and these kids are getting in trouble. There were murders up here, all over.
really?
Yeah, there were kids in the Bronx. There were a shooting near where I go to the diner. There was a couple, yeah, a couple up in Westchester. Everywhere, these kids are out of control, and they don't care. And there's a group of kids that were in Westchester that now left home and disappeared. They can't find them
Mm.
in Florida. So it's getting worse, and the parents need to be more vigilant. So tell us about the council meetings, and tell us, we're gonna get to the, who is Connor to Delia? Why does she feel responsible for him?
Well, Connor is her son.
That's her son, right? But
Yeah.
he doesn't live with her anymore. He
No,
didn't.
no, no, no. He does live with her.
Yeah,
Um, he was living for when he was 3.
yeah,
He was living with her. She's divorced.
yeah,
He had a. It ended up being an abusive marriage, and she takes Connor and comes back to New York, and they live in Manhattan. But what happens is that every time she has daycare for him, and then the daycare center closes. There's no other daycare center that can take him in the middle of the season, and then she cannot depend on the babysitters. They don't come on time.
yeah,
And so on weekends, she would, bring him to her parents. And then the mother said, we'll take care of him. We'll work. And she had long hours. She had an important position in marketing. And soon Connor was living with her parents, and she would come, and but then she would try to be, be the mother, but
yeah,
would find that her parents had their way of dealing with him, and she didn't want to argue, and so it ended up that she would come on holidays, on special days, and she really wasn't there that often. And as a result, Connor was, he was very resentful. Why did his mother leave him? Why was he living? He loves his grandparents, but why isn't he living with his grandparents? And so one of the things that she has to take care of and deal with is how to relate to her 15-year-old son. Now, dealing with a teenager is difficult enough, but this suddenly, being on a day-to-day basis with this teenager after not being there much of the growing up years is even harder. And so she has to find a way of connecting with her son.
that's hard. That's really hard. I grew up in this living with my grandparents, with my parents, and it was like four people that made decisions, and sometimes it was hard because my grandfather was the boss of the whole family, the whole, I mean, all of my relatives. My mother, my grandmother was the other one, and it's whatever they said, which was good that my grandmother said, but it gets hard when you have too many people and you don't have one decision.
Well, yes, well, that was what deal it was.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Was
hard, yeah,
in a way, that's exactly what she was dealing with, and that's why she decided. Well, she didn't even decide it; it just happened,
yeah.
and so she's back there, and what brings her and Connor together, is a dog named Riley. They named Riley. This is a bearded collie. She sees the dog. She comes up to her house, and she thinks it's a rag. It's a bunch of rags. They have long hair, and he's curled up in a ball, sleeping on her porch, and he hasn't had a haircut. He's been living wild, and they find out. Um, they have to find out. She knows that somebody owns this dog.
Mm.
This dog who followed Connor home and seems to hang around and does not seem afraid of them at all. And so she has to bring him to the animal clinic. And guess who owns the animal clinic? Her ex-boyfriend from years
Yeah, that
ago.
makes it even harder.
Yeah, it was very difficult for her, right? Because he broke up with her and broke her heart. Yeah.
Well, he's a nasty guy. So
Not
now,
really.
like I see it on the news. Kids drift to the wrong person. So now he gets friends with Trevor, and that's not good. So what does he learn about Trevor, and how does it add to the drama what Trevor did? This is a really
Well,
bad kid,
yeah, that's
and Delia's
true.
not happy, and I don't blame her. But
Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't matter. Whatever you're going to say, they're going to do it anyway.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Trevor comes from a family of thieves. There's really no other way of putting it. And Trevor's been known to steal, from the storekeepers when they see him coming into the store. They have to watch him very carefully. Well, as you say, you're not going to control who your kids are friendly with, and he's friendly with Trevor, and they are looking for Captain Kidd's treasure, right? Because Connor found this in the map, and the house is burgled, and they know that it's connected to Trevor, and Connor is very angry about it. He feels that Trevor betrayed him, and
yeah,
Trevor's got to make a decision, and he makes an interesting decision.
yeah. He's bad too. Yeah.
No, he's
Before,
not bad. He's
no,
not.
he's good. Yeah.
He
Before I
decides.
forget,
He
this is going to be
decides.
big. This is going to be wild next week.
So
It's what? Go
he
ahead.
he decides that he's not going to be like his
Yeah,
family, and that's very difficult for a 15-year-old kid.
yeah.
I mean, he's the youngest,
The younger brother, Jacob. Yeah,
and he's no, Trevor is the youngest, and he has an older sister, and she's a thief already. She's doing her own. She orchestrated the burglary, and he starts spending more and more time with you know with with Delia and with Connor.
now, before I forget, because now we're going to get to my favorite character, by the way. You'll know who that is. The 27th on Monday, the number one author in the world in England, Peter James. Character is Queen Camilla. I don't know if she's coming, but she is the main character. On the 28th, research scientist Dante Baker with the third base. Now, on the 30th, it depends on what kind of a sense of humor you have. It's called Humpty Trumpty, his second 100 days in power. And you can bet who Trumpty is. It's hilarious. On the 5th, we have one about black racism, which should be interesting. And the 13th, selected meanderings. And the big ones are the 17th, Philip Margolin and Jane Ann Krantz. Yes. As a matter of fact, the book is over there. She had it printed out for me to make sure that I get it so I can read it before the 18th. The book doesn't come out until January. And everybody wants to read it, but they want to read this. Now, my favorite character is Harriet.
Harriet.
How you Aunt Harriet, the ghost, and yeah, the
Oh,
ghost.
Helena. Her name is Helena.
Yeah, the
Yes.
ghost. So why did you bring her back? I love the ghost. My
Um,
favorite, yeah, my favorite character is the ghost.
well, I often have ghosts in my
Yeah,
books. I had a ghost, of course, in my last series, and Evelyn Havers, the ghost in the Haunted Library series. I've had other have ghosts in other books.
yeah,
I just thought that it would be an added element. Also, she's only in the secret room, and so far
yeah,
only Delia sees her. And she's there really to to oversee the town,
yeah.
make sure everything goes right. She has that concern, and she's there to give Delia support, help if she can in the murders. She knows the background of everyone in that town and
Mm.
on the island, and so she can give her background material on people. So, and
Mm.
she moved to the island in her teen years, and she was very friendly with the Van Patten family. The Van Patten family were distant cousins of Helen. So yeah, I like Helena too. She's a lot of fun, and it's very interesting that Helena once also had a bearded collie, and Duncan. And I mean, Duncan is not related to Riley at all. It's just a coincidence that there should be two bearded collies, you know, connected to the family.
This is so unbelievable. Now, how does Julia finally meet up with Jack? And then we meet Riley. Oh
Mm,
dear. I know. Oh dear.
yeah. Well, Jack is a veterinarian. He's involved with two practices, the clinic on the island and one on Long Island, and he divides his time between the two. And she figures she better, before Connor gets any more attached to the dog, she better bring him in and see if there's if there's an identification, has ID on him in the they have little, they have microfiche. My cats have them, um, and that will tell you who the owner is. Also, having long hair, it's matted. It's really not good for for the dog to run around and be matted. He wanted to know if he was healthy. So for all these genuine and real reasons, she makes an appointment with him to have him examined.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So he's what? How does he reunite her with Connor? And
With
then we get to the real danger about the log and the map. How does this create more danger for her? She can't seem to get out of her own way.
Well, the map
Yeah.
was something that Connor was looking for a book, for some from school report, and because his grandmother, his great grandmother Helena, had many books in the house, and so he accidentally found out that there was a secret room. It was in the bookcase, and so he finds what he thinks it was. No, it's a journal written by Captain Kidd, and in it is a loose paper that he assumes is a map. And so, Juju, my cat is walking around. Um, so he is looking for treasure. He gets Trevor involved, and they go digging for treasure because it's true. Captain Kidd, William Kidd, was first a privateer, and then he
Mm.
became a pirate. He lived in New York,
Yeah.
and he did sail in the Long Island Sound, and he did bury some treasure on an island in Long Island Sound. Now there are rumors all over that he had buried treasure all over the world. But
Mm.
so I just thought it would be fun to suppose that he might have buried treasure on my made up island. And so he and Trevor go looking for the treasure. They go digging for the treasure using the map that they have.
There's so many characters. I'm looking over this thing now. We have Tim Van Patten and William, and then there's another murder. The second one, right? That's Rick. And who is Velma and Helena? Gets more interesting, people.
Well, yeah, they discovered that there was another murder.
Yeah, there was
And
another murder.
yeah, that took place a long time ago. Yeah. So
That's
that's,
from the past. That comes
yeah,
back into the present. You
yeah,
just never know what's going to happen. So we're not
right.
going to tell them how it connects it and who did what. But who is Helena? How did she come into this? And
Helen,
Velma.
I told you, Helen,
You
who?
can't, yeah, that's right, yeah. Now,
Helena, I told you is the ghost. Helena
yeah,
is
the goat,
grandmother.
yeah. Ghosts are good. Now,
Yeah.
before we end, I have a few more questions. My favorite place is the secret rooms. They're so cool. And I think everybody in the whole world would like to have a secret room
And
that you can hide
it's a
in.
reading
Reading
room.
room, yeah.
Yeah,
With
because
a
there's
whole
a
bunch of
chair
books. I
there.
would go crazy in there. That's, oh my God.
Yeah. And there's a she has a chair. Well, this is where Helena used to read. There's a chair and a lamp, and that's where Delia finds. Oh, she finds many things, but she finds her grandmother's journals, and so she learns more about life
Yeah,
when Helena was growing up.
this is amazing. Now, how does a secret room to help solve what happened to Missy?
Well, she learns more about
Yeah,
well, she learns about Missy also from her grandmother, and then
yeah,
now remember, her aunt and uncle are estranged.
yeah.
Um, Rini has threatened she's going to divorce Brad, but then she finds once or twice Julia finds her aunt and uncle. Oh, and I have to tell you also, you mentioned the council meetings. The council meetings were so much fun to write be, because because you could see the people arguing. There's there are people supporting. Some people are supporting Brad, and but most of the people are supporting Rini. And there's a loudmouth who's always starting trouble, and you learn about the tenor of the island, and also how and also Rini and Brad, they are arguing in front of the whole town. You know, you could see that they are
Mhm.
at odds with one another,
It's sad.
except Delia finds that when she goes to visit her aunt, she just stops in at her aunt's office. Oh, she and her uncle are they're looking at papers together. Oh, well, isn't that interesting? Yeah. So at one point, the three of them do some investigating. Her aunt,
Well,
her uncle, and
this
she.
book is this book is an open-ended ending. We don't know what's happening next, do we? So what's
Well,
next?
the murders are solved. Yes, they
Yeah, so
certainly
this
are.
is the first. So there's a second one because there's going to be more. So what's next, Virginia and Dickens Island? Because I get the feeling that this is an open end. This book didn't end. That the
No,
end, the
this book.
last
No,
page printed. There's more.
well. Let's say the relationships go on. Um, the murders are resolved, and many issues are resolved. But
Yeah.
there are more adventures in the next book, right? Exactly. Yeah.
I I really like this character. I mean, I like Carrie, but she's more interesting. She's really interesting. This one.
Yeah.
So when's the next one coming out? Or is this the
I
next
have no
one?
idea. I
You
don't
don't
know.
know yet.
I just started it, and I don't know when the next one's coming out.
I'm
But
so
I am
sad.
writing it. I am writing it. I did start it.
Another series? You have a
No, no,
children's series too.
no. I am writing the second book of this,
Yeah.
but I just finished the fourth book of my children's series.
Oh, I don't have those.
Well, they're children's books, and
Yeah.
they are. I had written Rufus and Magic Run Amok many years ago. It
Uh
was a
huh.
children's choice, and about 3 years ago, my agent Dawn, who's now no longer with us, she got me a 4 book contract for it.
Oh, nice.
So the second and third book came out, and I'm right. I just finished the fourth, and it's about a boy who finds out he's a witch. I wrote it before Harry Potter, and it's completely different. It's a lighter. I mean, but as the books go on, they get more and more serious, and he doesn't. Rufus and Magic Run Amok, he's 10 years old, and he's the bully chases him home every day from school, and suddenly he says, "I want to see Big Doggy make a double tumble sword," and he does a tumble sword in the air, and Dougie is petrified. He said, "You're just like your mother and your grandmother and your aunt. You're a witch." And what happens is that he's Rufus. If Rufus tells his family that he's a witch, they're going to make him take tests, take classes, and learn how to use magic for good, to help people. He wants to have fun. So what happens is he doesn't tell his family, and the magic is growing and growing and growing and sort of taking over his life.
Yeah.
So that's what it's a funny book. And then the book goes the each book is a little different, and it's been a fun, really fun to write it. Yeah.
Well, you're lucky because my last book is Inverted Reality. It's a horror, and people don't understand why I wrote it. It's 26 stories, 26 characters. Each one does the wrong thing in life. And the person that does the wrong thing is told if you don't repent, you get to live repenting it in a face in a mirror forever. And nobody, yeah, it's scary. And I wrote it to teach people not to do the wrong thing. And nobody loved there's people loved it, but nobody wrote a review for it. I mean, I've got sales, but it doesn't matter. And my publishers did not do anything. All they did was charge me $1,700 to get the book, yeah, printed. I didn't even know, and just to edit it. They did nothing. So I don't know if I'm going to write another one, but I will not. I will continue to do what I'm doing. So where can everybody find out about you and your work?
Well, I'm Penguin Random House is my distributor, so there's you can get the book in almost any place, and of course it's up on Amazon. I have an Amazon page. Everything's under Marilyn Levinson, even though this book is written as Allison Brook, but it's there. And what's wonderful about this book is that it's out in paper in both hardcover and softcover and ebook, and it's also it's out going to be in Spotify. It's now available.
Oh, nice.
I just got the notice that it's up there, and it's going to be out in large print. I'm very happy about that because I love large print. So it's really available. I think they've gone all out, and people wanted to contribute, be a part of this book. It's gotten some wonderful reviews. I feel that people who really understand how I write really enjoy it. I looked at one review this morning, and it was on Amazon. It said, "Well, there was too much with the personal relationships, but this is how I write." And so, it's not the book for them, perhaps, but if you're interested in your characters and their relationships with each other, I do that.
Um,
I love it.
Well, I can't review for Amazon because of the problem I've had over the years. Somebody wrote something that I didn't write. Somebody wrote a review and put my name on it, and they're so brilliant they actually believed it. So I do it for Goodreads. I put it on LinkedIn. The minute I put a review or a video on LinkedIn, the last one got 2,360 votes, for real.